Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, soon to be joined here by Rob, who's stuck in a little bit of traffic here. So we want to go over there with you, the post-game coverage here today for the Saints at the Giants. And whew, what a game. What a freaking game, guys. The Giants have gone through this long streak of losing games in absolute embarrassing fashion. Getting blown out by teams, getting destroyed by teams. And then today, they face a team that a lot of us looked at and said, this is one of the last few teams that the Giants might actually beat. They're not their favorite, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they can go ahead and beat this team. But instead, just when you thought the New York Giants can't find the new way to lose, guess what they did? They found new ways to lose, guys. This is a game that they absolutely gave up to the Saints. It's like they didn't want to win. They get the chance to kick a field goal. Jay Cooper's body slams the Saint into the ground, basically. Penalty takes away the field goal, backs him up out of range. They lose 3 points there. We get a punt return for a touchdown. Called back because of a hold penalty. That's 10 points left on the table right there. And then to cap it all off, we still have a chance to tie the game up with seconds left to go in the game. And instead of fixing the problem and finding ways to win, they literally get the field goal blocked as time is running out in the game. This is a brand new way to lose, guys. When we thought it wasn't possible, the Giants keep finding new ways to break our hearts, to disappoint us, and to prove to us that even when they should win, they can't win and they won't win. This game is one we should have easily won. We squandered great performances on defense. We squandered a chance to actually get a third win. Now, I know some of you all might be happy about that at the end, because let's be honest here. The rest of the season is all about what are we doing next year. And I know that the full-on tank is what people are looking for at this point. And I get it. And you all know I'm not someone who likes the idea of tanking. There's the tank coming in. I get it. Because at this point here, what else is there to play for? What does it get us if we get 3 or 4 wins instead of 2? What does that really get us? Again, I don't want to be the guy that sits there clamoring for the tank. I want to win. But look at the schedule, guys, we got coming up here. It's not good. It's not a good way that things are going here. You got the Ravens coming up. Does anybody actually see us beating the Ravens? Seriously. There's no way in hell we're beating them. We got the Falcons coming up. And don't get me wrong, the Falcons are not an elite team, but they're an above average team. There's no way in hell we're going to freaking win that game. Then you got the Colts. Maybe the last team that we have a somewhat shot to beat. And that's it. And then we end the season against the Eagles, who just demolished us last time we faced them, guys. Demolished. I don't think we have to try to tank at this point. I don't think there's a single reason to have to think that, hey, we got to tank at this. The tank is going to happen, whether we want it to happen. The tank is happening. There's no stopping it. You just kind of got to go along with it. Because it's going. time for us to get that new quarterback. It's time for us to stop being the embarrassment in the NFL that we've been for the last few years. It's just absolutely time. Let's go over the game though with the guys because, like I said, it's just a lot of disappointments in this game, flat out. We've talked multiple times in this show about decisions that Brian Daboll has made, decisions that he's made that potentially change the outcome of a game, decisions that he's made that just make absolutely no goddamn sense whatsoever. Today, there was another decision that makes no sense. That I think even a Pop Warner coach would have said, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that. But Brian Daboll thinks it's something to do. And that's early on in the game. There's a 4th and 8. 4th and 8. It's the Giants' first offensive drive in the game. Right around the midfield, so they're not, in any way, shape, or form able to go ahead and get any points here. Most teams would punt the ball. Hope to pin their offense deep. Hope the defense maybe makes a nice play. Get the ball back in good field position. But no, what do the Giants do? They go for it. They go for it on 4th and 8. 4th and 8. There's no point in doing that. There was no reason. And of course, what happens? We don't get it. Surprise, surprise. And we gave the ball back to the Saints at practically midfield. You got a defense here with so many injuries going into this game. It's not even funny. They need some help. And instead, you put them in a position where just a couple of first downs puts them into the scoring range. That's what you did, Brian Daboll. That's a move you just don't do. It's disrespectful to your defense. And I understand your offense needs help. I understand that. But you don't help the offense so much to the point you hurt the defense. That's not fair to the defense. That was without its number one corner, without its stud nose tackle, without its number one linebacker, without so many pieces that's not even funny, without its rookie slot receiver that's like an all-rookie team guy. Was without a second defensive lineman. It's like how many players were out? You got your two best defensive linemen out, your best linebacker out, your number one corner, your slot corner. How many players need to be out before you give this damn defense some respect and don't put them in a bad position? But instead, they do that. And thank God the Saints didn't make that kick because that's what ended up happening is they lined up for a field goal. And again, it's not the defense. They gave up, a couple of first yards. That's it. It wasn't like they drove them down the field. And they luckily missed that field goal. But that's the kind of decisions that Brian Daboll makes on every single game that just make absolutely no goddamn sense whatsoever. And it's not fair to the players to go ahead and do that. It's absolutely insanity. And this is why a lot of people think out there that there is a tank going on within the organization even. Because most would never go ahead and do that. It's absolutely insanity. So let's talk about the penalties in this game, though, too, guys. They have double-digit penalties, the Giants, in the last 2 weeks. Double digits. Now, Rob and I have talked in the show plenty of times about the fact that in the past, even when we're losing, the Giants didn't seem to be giving up. They seem to be playing well with what they had. Just a lot of injuries last year, for example, that kind of thing. They've gotten really, really goddamn sloppy. And at a certain point, this is on the coach. We talked in the last segment about the plays he calls. That's a whole separate thing as well, because that's an issue too. But when you have a team that is routinely doing really bad against, penalties, stupid penalties of that, things like, bad formations, false starts, things that should be quite obvious. That's coaching. That is flat out on the coach. And it's getting sickening because you look at, again, the penalties cost us 10 points in this game. Cost us that field goal. Cost us that touchdown on the punt return. That was the game. We lost this game because of penalties, because we were playing sloppy, which means we were coached sloppy. It's year 3. This is on the coaching staff at this point. Year one, I accept excuses. Oh, we're still working on some stuff. We see improvement, but things are still getting better. It's year 3. And anyone tell me it's really getting better? Because I don't see any getting better whatsoever as far as that. I see his team playing sloppier than ever. Absolutely sloppy. And it's a total indictment on the coaching staff. And it's just got to get changed, and this coaching staff just has to go. And there's guys I'd love to keep. Carmen Brasillo, I have a lot of respect for what he's done. I have a lot of respect for Andre Patterson. I got a lot of respect for Jerome Henderson. But Brian Dable's got to go. It's past time. It's past time. It's just, at this point, it's adding insult to injury. And I don't know how to fix this without making sweeping changes. I really don't know. Let's talk about the defense, though, because we got to at least give you guys something positive with this. The defense played their butts off today, guys. Absolutely played their butts off there. So you got 14 points they gave up, guys. That's it. 14 points. Now, Derek Carr played decent in the game. Was injured late, but he played decent overall. 20 of 31, 219 yards, a touchdown. And an interception. Our first interception since week 1. That went to Trey Hawkins III there. Let me repeat that again. The second interception on the season. We're 13 games in, guys. I hope you guys see how pathetic that is. Absolutely pathetic. But the defense played very well today. We've had trouble stopping the run all year. That's been kind of the Achilles heel of this team. Alvin Kamara had 17 carries, 44 yards. That's just 2.6 yards per carry. He only had 35 yards receiving, too, so we did pretty good against him, I felt, overall, the Giants. That's 79 total yards. He's averaging about 107, I think it was, the stat they showed during the game. Kendre Miller, 10 carries, 32 yards, just a 3.2 yards per carry average. That's good. That's really good for a team that has really struggled in that category. The only person that you could sit there and say on this team that had a good day rushing wise was Derek Carr, the quarterback. And he only had 2 rushes, so it didn't make a huge difference. 2 rushes for 12 yards. And he got hurt on one of them. So, he probably regrets doing that, to be honest with you, as he hurt his hand and was getting checked for a concussion as well after getting smacked against the turf there. Like I said, this is just one of those games that I look at and go, the defense did their job. The offense failed miserably. Absolutely failed miserably. Even receiving wise, no receiver really lit us up. Marcus Valdes-Scantling probably had the biggest day there, 4 catches, 51 yards. Juwan Johnson had 4 catches, 50 yards as well. So just right there, and had a touchdown as well. So, not great days, but not bad days. Foster Moreau had 2 catches, 40 yards. So like I said, Kamara had 35. Nobody had more than 10 yards beyond that. There's no player that crushed us like that, even with our number 1 corner being out, even with our slot corner being out. No one really crushed us. It was a really, I thought, a good day by the defense and a side of the ball that, quite frankly, I think is underappreciated by the fan base. It is not easy to play good defense when you're playing with the worst offense in the entire league. Because 2 things are going to happen. 1, you're going to be on the field quite often. It's going to tire you out. 2, you're going to go ahead and get run on a lot. Because towards the end of the game, guess what's going to happen? They're up. They're going to run the ball. They want to kill the clock. And this defense does have trouble stopping the run. It's a bad combo. On the day, Micah McFadden led with 8 tackles in the day. Darius Muasau had 7. Trey Hawkins, like I said, had the 1 interception, had 4 tackles as well. Tyler Newman also with 4 tackles there. And you got, of course, the sack by Kayvon Thibodeau very late in the game as well. So, again, I thought a really good game by this defense. And I'm hoping that this is one that the fans look at and go, okay, wait a minute, hold on. they did their job, because this is what I've been saying all along. I understand the yards we've been giving up has been a high amount, but the points have not been. And that's all that matters. You can't complain, especially this week when the defense gives up just 14 points against a good offense. I mean, granted, they're missing some offensive weapons like Chris Olave. Like they were missing their top 2 receivers. I get it. It's part of it. They had guys who are banged up all across their offensive line as well. I'm not trying to say they're fully healthy, but they had their star weapon in Kamara. They had their starting quarterback for most of the game, at least, in Derek Carr. And the Giants defense did what the Giants defense had to do. Without Dexter Lawrence, without Raheem Nunez-Roches, without Bobby Okereke, without Deontay Banks, without Drew Phillips. Can't ask for much more. Except an offense that doesn't look like a Pop Warner team. That's the problem right there. The Pop Warner team offense. So, all right, let's get into let's pay the bills real quick here, guys, and then we've got a couple more topics to go over there. And like I said, we'll wrap this up here shortly.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. And of course, you can also support the show by sending super chats on YouTube, as well as also sending stars on Facebook, or the free way. You can just go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share button, guys. Help us out there, because in the end, we suck at marketing. Without y'all helping us by doing those things, people wouldn't know about the show. So thank you, everybody that has done that part there. And let's get back into the game here. So let's talk a little bit about Drew Lock, because that's such a weird topic right now for me. Drew Lock has been a guy that you look at what he did in this game, and overall, 21 of 49, 227 yards, and an interception. And it's a very costly interception, potentially, at that point, too, just based on how the way the game ended. But you look at that, and you go, okay, 227 yards, not a bad yardage, really low average there. No touchdowns. But in the fourth quarter, something changed in him, guys. And it doesn't make up for the 3 quarters of bad play. Do not get me wrong on that. It does not make up for the 3 quarters of bad play. But something kind of switched on him, and all of a sudden he changed up. He threw the ball around. You got, Daniel Bellinger involved for the offense, but it feels like the first time. He was the second leading receiver with 45 yards. Made some nice chucks over to Malik Nabers, who had 5 catches, 79 yards. And it just seemed like he was just getting comfortable within the pocket that wasn't there, basically, because, to be honest, the offensive line was a cluster the whole entire day. Weren't good to begin with, and then you had JMS go out with an injury. You had John Runyon go out with an injury. So you let out Arian Stinney in there at the guard position. And you had Jay Kubas at the guard position, and they moved Greg Van Roten into center. So, not ideal. Not ideal, to say the least. But, even before that, the offensive line was not doing any favors whatsoever to Drew Lock. But he also did any favors to himself there. The play that everybody's going to talk about, I think, today, when it boils down to how Drew Lock played, is he had the chance to run for a first down. And instead of running straight ahead, he decided to pull a Saquon, basically, go off to the right. And instead of taking the glaring hole that was there, try to go be cute about it and take some extra yards. And he got knocked without getting the first down. And Brian Daboll was livid, folks. Absolutely goddamn livid. It's just like you look at the confrontation afterwards with Daboll and him, and it tells me a lot about what's going on with this team overall. Brian Daboll goes up there to talk to him. He just walks right off. An absolute sign of disrespect. Now, I get at the time he was probably pissed at himself. Tempers were probably pretty high. You might have gone up to apologize to him afterwards. I don't know. I wasn't there. What I saw was a quarterback that didn't respect his coach enough to stop and talk to him about making a mistake. That's an issue. And again, I've given you guys a lot of indictments on Brian Daboll in this episode so far. And that's another one. When your players don't respect you enough to sit down and talk to you about a play, or stand there and take the yelling at that they rightfully deserve for making a really boneheaded play, that means they don't respect you. If they don't respect you, you're not the coach any longer. You're the guy pretending to be the coach. Because they're not listening to what you tell them. And that's the biggest issue that I saw in this whole entire game right there. That one play tells us all we need to know about what's going on behind closed doors with the Giants right there. But like I said, overall in the day for Drew Lock, not the worst game because of how it ended, but it was the worst beginning. I think he started 0-7 on the game overall. It's really, really bad start. And even if it wasn't for that 0-7, though, he'd start 50%. That's where he would be. 50% completions without that 0-7. So I can't give him a good game in this. But I'll give him a gutsy game on this. The way he came back in the fourth quarter, set the team up to tie it up in the end. Granted, through the interception late, which didn't help, but, mistakes will happen, especially when you're being aggressive because it's towards the end of the game. He still got him in position to tie it up and go into overtime. Unfortunately, we just couldn't block, and, the field goal got blocked as a result. So, like I said, it's kind of like an incomplete grade I'll give to, Drew Lock in this game here, because it's hard to fully judge him because of the way the line played. But it's also impossible to give him a pass for the way he played, even with that line. So, like I said, give him an incomplete grade in the game. Let's talk about the fans, though, guys. Let's talk about us. Before the game, there was literally a banner being pulled by a plane. It said, "Mr. Mara, enough. Please fix this dumpster fire." And I haven't heard who did it yet. But, yeah. Guys, that's like one of the biggest topics right now going on in the NFL. Not just within the Giants, but within the NFL. When you have fans willing to do that, to prove a point, that they're pissed and they're tired and they're fed up with it, that's a big issue. Especially in the biggest market in the country. And afterwards, after the game, I know that Brian Daboll was asked about it, and you could see how upset he was. I think he knows the time is coming soon. I do think he knows that. I think he's just hoping by some miracle to turn this around and to change the outcome that we're all expecting at the end of the season for him to be gone. But this kind of stuff is the stuff that embarrasses John Mara. This is the kind of stuff, guys, that goes ahead and gets change made. And what have I been saying forever? Stop giving the Maras and Tisches your money. And until they can get a good product in the field, we should stop supporting them. And that's what happened today. You look at the stadium, it was half empty. A little before the game, I was looking at tickets because I know they were pretty cheap yesterday even. They went down to $9 a seat, I saw when I checked this afternoon. Right around noon, like literally just after noon. $9. You literally could have gone to the Giants today. You see the Giants play today for less than the cost of going to a movie. A movie. That never, ever happens. It's hard to get any tickets for under $100 a piece typically, let alone $9. That's absolutely insane. And this is just showing you how pissed off the fans are. And I know I pointed it out a lot of times during the play-by-play. There was empty spots everywhere on that field. Empty spots everywhere. And this is the stuff that invokes change. I guarantee you John Mara is going to have a talk about what to do with people within the organization. And saying point blank that we need to turn this around because this is embarrassing. And I can't have this team embarrassed like that. So guys, keep it up. Keep putting the heat on this ownership group. Next week, you have the Ravens game. I'm going to encourage you all to do it again. Get the plane going again. Whoever's paying for this plane, get the plane going again. Get multiple planes going if you want. Get the whole skyline filled with planes saying these messages. Don't show up to the game. Put empty seats everywhere. Boycott it. Because this is the way we're going to get change. This is the way we're going to get a new regime again. We need a new regime. And not just a new GM or a new coach. We need a whole new freaking football czar. A guy who's going to come in there, take control of this franchise, and have control over every single thing with football. Because I guarantee you guys, there are scouts, there are front office people like crazy that have been with this organization through multiple GMs, multiple coaches, and it's time for them to go. It is time to go ahead and make sweeping change. And that doesn't happen by us staying quiet. This happens by us doing that. Embarrassing Mara. Putting planes up like that, saying that fix the dumpster fire. Because that's as appropriate a term for this team as there possibly is. The goddamn dumpster fire. And then that's what it's going to take. Remember what happened with Joe Judge? The fans were livid. The fans were flipping out. Now, Joe Judge didn't help his case. He had like that half-an-hour press conference after the Bears game. He did a couple of things that just really hurt him. But one of the biggest ways to hurt is to stop making the money. Don't give your hard-earned money to a franchise that, quite frankly, has not deserved it. And I say that knowing I have Giants memorabilia and everything all around me. None of them are new, I promise you. None of them are new. And nothing will be new until they make change. Until they start winning. And I encourage you all to do the same exact thing. Send the message. Because when they start seeing that message, change will happen. Change will absolutely freaking happen, guys. All right, let's get into the comments here real quick before we head on out for the day there. Rob, talking from the road, says, they broke our hearts. Yeah, new ways to lose all the time. Angel says, if it was a WWE match, we would have won. Yeah, because Jay Kubas would have body slamming the Saint onto the ground there. Would have been illegal. Would absolutely be illegal. Now, I will say the holding penalty on the punt return touchdown, I do question that one, though. I think that was a bit premature to call that. I think that was a little bit them, refs getting too involved. It wasn't that bad a hold. As Rob says, we played to lose against a bad team. Yeah, like the tank is on. We've gotten worse every year that this regime has been there. Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Angel Perez says the undrafted free agents played good. Yeah, they did. I mean, you look at guys like, Elijah Chapman, I thought showed up pretty good. I mean, the run defense, again, this is probably the best the run defense has looked at. And we've got basically guys off the streets and undrafted free agents basically out there playing on this defensive line. I will throw in there also, he's not undrafted, but Darius Musa was a 6th-round pick, so practically undrafted. I thought had an okay-ish game. I don't have high expectations of a guy like him. He was kind of dragged around a couple times on some tackles he attempted there. But for a 6th-round pick rookie-wise, he didn't look bad. We just got to get this kid in the weight room. That's for damn sure. Because he needs to strengthen up. He needs to learn to finish a tackle. But again, 6th-round rookie, you expect to have to fix some things. You expect to have to work on some things. Like I said, that's just is what it is. Dakota, what's up, man? He says Mekhi Becton playing pretty good. He says something else, so I'm not going to put that comment out there. What's up, Dakota, man? Yeah, I mean, this is why I've been calling for Evan Neal to be moved to the guard position. It makes all the sense in the world. That's where he should be. Mekhi Becton is the exact example of why he should be there. Angel says, I think the Giants just play better with faster tempo. I don't disagree. I really don't. I think setting things up where you can confuse the defense, setting things up where the offense has got a chance to overthink things, I think it helps. But, they were also driving at the end of the half as well, but they just absolutely messed up the timing part of it there because they let time tick, 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 tick off the clock at that point. Deb says, people are all over Nabers for press conference after the game. He was asked if he knew about the plane before the game, and his response was, I ain't sent it. Are all the LSU receivers immature? Yeah, I mean, weird way of wording it. I didn't see the interview with that. I just watched Brian Daboll's, but yeah, that's a very weird and interesting way of wording that. Like, did someone accuse him of sending it? Like, that's like the guilty conscience at that point there of like, when you go into like ask a child something and like, I didn't do it. When like all you asked if they knew about it, it's like that's kind of the vibe that you're giving there, Deb, based on these comments there. So yeah, interesting results, that's for damn sure, if that's what he was saying. As we got Rob in from his traffic here. He's officially graduated traffic school.
Finally did it. Yes.
He's graduated with flying colors.
Those are the drones in Lacey.
The drones?
Oh, you haven't heard about that down in Florida?
What drones?
Oh, there's been like a crazy amount of drones being spotted in that sky for the past week in South Central Jersey. Hovering over like Fort Dix, over the power plant down here.
I hadn't heard that, no. Maybe they're looking for the Jersey Devil?
E.T.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
You never know. It could be real. No one has really searched the Pine Barrens. No one lives there. No one goes there.
Touche. All these pinies.
Kind of like the Jersey version of the Everglades. we have Swamp Thing down here. Swamp.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we don't need fictional monsters in our woods. We have alligators and Burmese pythons. And
I was about to say, you got the pythons down there too.
Water moccasins, cottonmouths, eastern diamondback rattlesnakes. We're good. We don't need fake monsters. We have real ones. But yeah, let's see here. Deb says, I don't blame Nabers for feeling the way he looked, but I think Nabers has to learn to speak to the press. Oh yeah, we've said that
100%.
multiple times. I really hope that whatever agency he works with, for marketing, I don't know if he has the same agent for his NFL contract as he does for the marketing. Some guys do it one shot, some have separate. But whoever works with him with marketing needs to sit his butt down and teach him how to talk to people, because
I'm a coach.
Yeah, like we'll do it. Malik Nabers, if you're watching, we will do it. We won't even televise it.
Yeah, we just ask you to come on the episode once a month, about 10, 15 minutes, and talk about the locker room.
Even once.
What's going on? Just once
a month. Just come on once. We'll be happy. Also, a few autograph footballs, but that's all we're asking.
Yeah, that's it. Not a big thing.
Yeah, maybe
Jersey.
That's all we're asking.
Maybe Jersey doesn't have a 9 on it, but a number 1.
Yes, like yours.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Angel says we should move the Giants to the Pine Barrens so we don't have to see them again. Honestly, I can't. I don't know. I feel like even though the Giants are playing so crappy, I'll still be a little upset when the season's over.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I shouldn't. I should be happy when the season's over for how bad we're playing. I really should. But, I just like watching football. And I'll be upset when it's over. And I know like you'll still have the playoffs for the teams that are actually good, unlike the Giants. But it's not the same as having like, here's,
not your team.
8 or 9 teams playing at once, or like you said, your team that you root for playing. There's a difference. But I'm very torn right now, again, on how my team is playing, because I don't want to say I'm pro tanking, but I'm getting over the idea of it. I'll put it that way. With each loss,
yeah.
Like, this makes more sense now. The third win doesn't get us anything. So, and to give you all an update on the tanking, by the way, the not tanking, we are officially the second overall pick in the draft as of right now. So the Jaguars beat the Titans today. That helped us big time because that means we are officially out of a 3-way tie into just a 2-way tie because the Las Vegas Raiders didn't do their part, didn't beat the Buccaneers. So I'll yell at my Bucs fans that I know later on because they should have let them win. But the Titans, like I said, they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, as someone on this panel had suggested might happen. I'm not going to name any names, but he's tall. He's wearing a hat. He has a beard.
I'm not that tall.
That's why I'm saying these things.
Yeah.
Most people don't know my height, so therefore. But yeah, like I said, it's we're now at number 2, so we're only losing because of strength of schedule. So keep in mind the tiebreaker goes into strength of schedule as the first thing. So it literally we have our opponents have a 54.4% winning percentage there. The Raiders have a 53.5. So because they have the weaker strength of schedule, means that they're not losing to teams that are as good as we're losing to, which means they might be a worse team in the NFL's eyes. See, I think the NFL is missing on a golden opportunity here. I really do. Like, if there's a tie, I think they should do a lottery like the NBA does.
Oh.
And listen, I'm not saying with everybody. Let's say you're okay. Let's say hypothetically 3 teams are at the end of the day are, let's say, 3 and 14. Let's put it that way and keep it simple. And say, let's say the Jaguars, the Giants, and the Raiders are. Pop up some balls. Let's go for it. Let's do a lottery. Like get Yolanda Vega. I don't know if she's in retirement or what the deal is with her, but like let's get her out there and let's do a lottery. It'd be an event that the NFL could sell to a team, to a market at that point there. It'd be
tickets for it.
Yeah, like they could go ahead and do like a big televised event for it. They can go ahead and sell gear for it potentially if they wanted to. Like, I feel like that'd be something they could make millions of dollars. Not that the NFL is missing out on much millions of dollars, but I'm not saying it'd be as big at the draft, but it'd be a decent event at that point to do. You'd have people tuning into it to watch it. You sell advertising during it at that point. Like I said, to me, it's just like it's too simple a thing not to do it.
Yeah.
Too simple a thing. But I digress. So yeah. Anyway, the Giants are second place in the as far as the draft right now. I want to say we're second place. It makes me feel better as a Giant fan. We're at second place. But yeah, we have the second overall pick. So keep in mind, not this week, but the week after, the Raiders and the Jacksonville Jaguars play each other. Now, you guys, we all need to be extremely big Raiders fans for this one. Let's root for Antonio Pierce, the former Giant, to get another win as a head coach before he's probably fired at the end of the year too. And like I said, it's gonna be a big game potentially for where the draft pans out. Now, I do want to also, I talked to you guys about this. It was you watching the play-by-play as well, but I want to make sure everybody's aware as well. There's a video going around about Deion Sanders, and they were talking about how Deion was saying to Pierce that he should draft the Sanders kids. What he said, which is just weird to call them the Sanders boys or Sanders kids, whatever he called them, because just say my sons. He's talking in like third person about his own children. It's the weirdest thing. But people are making it seem like that happened recently, because recently he did go ahead and throw a picture up on Instagram of Vegas. So people put that as him a sign that he wants his kids playing for Vegas. But it was before the season, this video that you guys are watching. Just heads up. So don't worry about it too much if you're seeing that. If you see anything with Deion Sanders and he doesn't have a gray beard, this is before the year started. He's got a full beard on now. So Deb says, I'd rather have Jags in front of us because they're not looking for a quarterback where the Raiders are. Oh, I agree 100%. 100%. But if the Raiders win, that's what helps us. Because like I said, if the Raiders win, the Raiders go behind us because they'll have a third win. Assuming we don't beat anybody else, which I've already said in the show. I think we're losing throughout the rest of the season. Yeah. Maybe the Colts. Probably our best chance to get a victory. Maybe small chance against the Eagles if they bench all their starters, depending what's going on postseason wise, because that's week 18, the last week of the season. But most likely we're going to lose out throughout. So we'll find out. I'll also be, of course, at the Falcons game here in 2 weeks too. So if anybody's going to be at the Giants Falcons game in Atlanta, that's the only way I'll go to a Giants game right now is if it is not at MetLife Stadium.
Let's say away game.
Yes, we're not supporting the team right now monetarily, just with our tears and sweat. So, unless Rob maybe goes for a marketing thing, that's a different thing. That's a business.
Yeah, it's something else.
That's a business decision. Like I said, I encourage all you fans to stop giving them all your money. Stop it. So
No more dinero.
Yeah, so like I said, we will go ahead and, like I said, give you updates as we hear things. I think the big curiosity is going to be, I also want to see who's the guy who threw the plane there with that banner. I want to hear the story of that. I want to know who it was. I want to see him talk about what's frustrating for him, because that's the interesting thing, because unless you own a plane, that's a very expensive endeavor to show your frustration. And even if you own a plane, you're still paying full fuel. You're still paying for that banner they paid. Like,
pay a lot for
that's not
gas.
cheap. That's not cheap. I really want to hear from them, about why they did it. So we'll see. We'll let you guys know. Because, of course, we'll be, tomorrow we'll, of course, be back with our regularly scheduled show there for the recap of all today's game and also the latest in Giants news. So, like I said, we'll go ahead and have all that up for you there. So, again, guys, we'll be live again Monday doing that there for you. Wednesday, we'll do our pregame for the Ravens game, talking about how much we're going to get our butts kicked that week. And, of course, we're going to go over our picks game there on Thursday. So before we head out, Rob, since you were stuck in traffic, any thoughts you want to share that I might not have shared, or anything opinion-wise you want to?
I mean, I was coming in live from the chat.
Yeah, I know you were in the chat. That's what I'm saying. So I figured you saw everything I said. So, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to include it. It wasn't brought up.
I mean, I was in and out. I got a couple phone calls too. But listen, this game pretty much sums up the Giants season thus far. It's just heartbreak after heartbreak. Like, you almost seem like you're in it, then you just lose it. You get a penalty. Something happens. Like, I know you started talking about like the punt return for a touchdown, which just would have been spectacular. And a cheap holding call gets it pulled back. But yeah, but that's also like pretty much the Giants season. So, like, it just, look at this. Nope, fool you.
Up. What's that in the distance? There it is.
There it is. Get to the tank.
There it is. It's on full force now at this point. Can't help itself. It's just steam rolling through, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. It's
Did you see how pissed off Dable was after the game?
Oh, he should have been. Like,
oh my God.
Because what's his face? That blew right through the special teams line. He almost. It's not even like Garrett last year when he hurdles. Like, he made a great hurdle, like Garrett last year, especially to block that field goal. The one the Browns win that one game. No, was BC's whatever his name was?
Yeah, Breezy. I think it was from Clemson, if I'm right. He was like a first or second round.
He did like the fat man, like Kane, go back to WWE over the top rope, kind of two special teams to block that kick. It was,
and he had a good game in general. Like, he got his hand in a couple of footballs being batted down and everything too. Like, a couple of good games there, but yeah, it's crazy. Deb says, love Shane with his binoculars.
That's me looking at the drones.
He should just come down to the first row and be with the fans. That would have gone over very well.
And all those medium cokes would be thrown right at him.
No, we told you they have to go to large this year. They have to go to large. So
definitely.
Oh, but yeah, like I said, guys, it's gonna be. I think we got to look at this rest of this team. Like I said, the rest of the season as a means to an end, because that's what it is. We're going to determine what we got in some of these young kids who haven't had a ton of playing time yet. Guys like Chapman, who looked pretty good today. We're going to go ahead and get a chance to go ahead and, hopefully get our quarterback of the future. This whole season at this point is all about building for next year. But hopefully we have a different coach. Hopefully we have a different GM. Hopefully we have a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, we will be scrutinizing like you would not believe Dable and Shane if they're not going at the end of the year. We will be like pouty children who did not get their way. I swear I will be, because I'm at the point where I'm so done with both of them. It's not even funny. Absolutely done with them both. So, all righty, guys. Well, again, we'll be back on tomorrow night with you guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going over everything latest in Giants news and recapping all the games this week here. Now, we do have, this obviously go over results, the picks there, which could be a very tight one depending how the rest of the go. I still have to punch in our 4 o'clock ones there, but I know Rob and I had enough differences in the 4 o'clock and onward games that there could be a very close match this week. So we'll let you know from there as well. So appreciate you guys for listening as always. And again, if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, guys, so we can find us again tomorrow night. We go live again. And of course, we'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my link. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. That is, of course, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. So appreciate you guys for listening in as always. And as always, Giant fans, go Giants!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.